Hi, my name is Rachel Mattel, and I'm a student at Florida State College, and I am pursuing a career to be a physician assistant. After doing some research, I learned that a physician assistant is able to practice medicine under the supervision of a physician. For example, I work at Hekin Orthopedics, and I chose to interview Earl Miller, who is a physician assistant for Gavin Duffy, who is our hip and knee specialist. Under the physician supervision, Earl Miller or any physician assistant is able to treat, diagnose, evaluate, exam, and prescribe medication under that physician's name. They are also allowed to assist in surgery on certain cases. Usually they would be the first assist, where they keep the wound cleaned and are pretty much the right-hand man. They also work on suturing at the end of surgery and comforting patients and their families after surgery as well. To become a physician assistant, you have to have a bachelor's degree of any type. And I kind of like this because for people who aren't pursuing a medical career and then happen to decide they want to, they're able to do so by taking a few prerequisites. Taking microbiology, anatomy and physiology with labs, chemistry classes, and a couple development classes. You're able to apply for PA school as long as you have a bachelor's degree. In PA school, they're normally about 2 years. So your first year is going to be your academic year, where you focus mainly on just learning the material and learning how to read x-rays, MRIs, EKGs, learning about medications, and anything that you would need. And then your second year is the clinical year, where you do various rotations through different aspects of medicine and practice what you've learned. And from what I've heard and researched, that's when you learn mostly everything, because when you get in the medical field, nothing is ever the way the book showed you. The stress level I've heard from PA school is very difficult. I've heard that a lot of students have problems with, you're in class 8-9 hours a day, and then you barely have time to eat dinner before you're at home cramming for a test that you have the next day. One of my friends who recently got accepted into PA school told me that she had 5 tests this week, and during the weekend she had to meet up for a study group because a project was due on Monday. So I've heard that the stress levels are pretty high, but in the end, if that's really what you want to do, then it's worth it. So coping with it usually is limited, because you do it. Testing, a lot of people that I've talked to that are aspiring students to go to PA school, they've come up with study groups to where, you have a visual learner in part of your group, and you have the person who is the explainer, and you work in groups to just focus on every aspect of learning. That way the material is covered, and it makes it a little bit easier to pass the tests. After PA school, that's usually through your clinical rotations is when you might find a career path that you like, if cardiology is interesting, or orthopedics, or primary care. As far as I'm looking at right now, I like orthopedics, and I also like cardiology. I find the heart to be fascinating in the way it pumps. The daily life of a PA is pretty stressful. A lot of them start work around probably 5:30 in the morning, and they do rounds at the hospital if that's part of their duties, and then they have clinics, and sometimes they don't get home till 7, so it is a worry of how much time they get to spend with their families, and especially most of them still being young, how they're still able to enjoy themselves, starting a career in the medical field. Communication is pretty difficult and something that you have to learn in the medical field, because you have various different types of people. Sometimes you have people who are angry at everything, and you cannot please them, and that the ways that you have to project yourself and communicate with people is everything, and that's something that you just have to learn as you go. And communication is key. You wouldn't talk to a 92-year-old woman the same way that you talk to a 12-year-old child who just tore their ACL. You know, you have to find ways to cope with that. Learning a second language is something that I would want to pursue, just because of the diversity that we have here in Florida and the United States alone. I think that learning a second language would open you to better communicate with people. Yeah, so I decided to choose Earl Miller to view for my interview. So hopefully I'll learn a lot more about the field, and hopefully I'm making the right decision in my career. Thank you.